Have you ever wondered why some people seem to carry a deep inner peace, while others are constantly in turmoil? What if I told you that the secret lies not in external circumstances, but in the way we understand and live by the principles of Buddhism? Welcome to Buddhism and Life, where we explore how ancient Buddhist teachings can help us navigate the complexities of modern life. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the chaos. But what if, by simply shifting our perspective, we could find lasting happiness, peace, and balance? In this channel, we'll dive into practical Buddhist wisdom, teaching you how to live with compassion, clarity, and confidence. Whether you're facing personal struggles, seeking answers, or looking to deepen your spiritual practice, you've come to the right place. Are you ready to discover the true power of mindfulness and the peace that comes from understanding the Buddha's teachings? Let's take this journey together and transform our lives one lesson at a time. Habit number 1. Bragging about yourself. The pitfall of seeking validation. Bragging is one of the most common habits that can diminish respect in both personal and professional relationships. While confidence is essential for success, there is a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and that line is often crossed when we resort to bragging. In fact, boasting about our achievements often leads to the opposite of what we hope to achieve: respect. Instead of inspiring admiration, it can alienate others, create discomfort, and even make us seem insecure. Let's delve deeper into why bragging works against us and how to replace this habit with a more powerful, subtle approach to earning respect. Buddhism offers valuable insights on the nature of ego, pride, and humility. In Buddhist teachings, ego is seen as a major source of suffering. It creates attachment to the self, to recognition, and to external validation. The Buddha taught that attachment to ego leads to suffering because it keeps us trapped in the cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. When we brag about our accomplishments, we are often seeking validation or recognition from others. We want to feel important, admired, and respected. However, Buddhism teaches that true peace and respect come from letting go of the need for external validation. Humility is a virtue in Buddhism, and it is through humility that we cultivate inner peace and genuine respect from others. The Buddha's life provides an excellent example of how to live with humility. Despite being a spiritual leader with immense wisdom and insight, the Buddha never sought praise or recognition for his teachings. Instead, he focused on offering his wisdom selflessly, allowing others to see his qualities without him ever needing to announce them. This is a key lesson for us. Our actions should speak louder than our words. True respect comes from our behavior, not from the need to boast about our achievements. Bragging is often rooted in insecurity. Many people who brag are not confident in their worth, so they try to prove themselves to others. The more we talk about our successes, the more we may be trying to convince others, and ourselves, that we are valuable and important. However, the irony is that the more we try to prove our worth, the more we invite doubt and skepticism. Psychologically, when we boast, we not only signal a need for approval, but we also create the impression that we are trying to cover up insecurities. People can sense when someone is trying too hard to impress them, and this often backfires. Instead of admiring us, They may feel uncomfortable, or worse, they may think less of us. We lose credibility when we speak about ourselves too much, and people often view us as less competent or less self-assured. In modern society, social media exacerbates this tendency to brag. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn encourage the highlight reel, a curated version of our lives that focuses only on the positive, glamorous aspects. This culture promotes a false narrative where people feel compelled to constantly prove their worth, showing off their achievements, experiences, and possessions. However, this external display of success is often a mask for internal insecurity, and it alienates others rather than attracting them. Bragging doesn't just annoy people, it actively works against our goal of earning respect. Here's why. Reason 1. It makes conversations one-sided. When you're constantly talking about your achievements, you take the focus away from others. It turns conversations into one-sided monologues. And no one likes being talked at instead of being engaged in a meaningful dialogue. People want to feel valued and heard, not just be listeners to someone else's self-promotion. Reason 2. It signals insecurity, not confidence. True confidence is quiet and self-assured. It doesn't need to be displayed through constant boasting. When we brag, we are essentially saying, "I need you to know how great I am." Confidence, on the other hand, speaks for itself. It is evident in the way we carry ourselves, the way we treat others, and the impact we make without needing to announce it. Reason 3. It alienates people. Bragging creates distance between you and others. People are often turned off by individuals who continually talk about their success because it feels like they are trying to put others down to lift themselves up. Instead of building rapport, it creates competition, and people begin to view you as someone who only values themselves and their achievements. Reason 4. It can lead to unrealistic expectations. When we boast about our accomplishments, we set high expectations for ourselves. This pressure to constantly prove our worth can lead to disappointment when we inevitably face setbacks. Others might also expect more from us, leading to feelings of inadequacy when we don't live up to their inflated expectations. Reason 5. It backfires in professional settings. In the professional world, boasting about your accomplishments can actually harm your career. People respect those who are humble and let their work speak for itself. The more you talk about your successes, the more you invite skepticism and doubt from others. The key to professional respect is subtlety. Allow others to recognize your talents and achievements without you having to point them out. So, how can we stop the cycle of bragging and start building genuine respect through more powerful actions? The answer lies in quiet confidence, the ability to show, not tell, your worth. Here are some practical steps to develop quiet confidence. Step 1. Show, don't tell. Instead of telling people how successful you are, show them through your actions. If you're good at something, others will notice without you needing to explain it. Whether it's in your work, your relationships, or your personal life, Your performance and actions will speak louder than any words ever could. Step 2. Ask more. Talk less. The most respected people in any room are often the best listeners. Instead of constantly talking about yourself, engage with others and listen to their stories. Ask questions and show genuine interest in the people around you. This not only makes others feel valued but also creates deeper, more meaningful connections. Step 3. Stay humble. The more successful you become, the less you need to talk about it. True confidence doesn't seek validation from others. The people who matter will already recognize your abilities and achievements without you needing to boast about them. Stay humble and let your work speak for itself. Step 4. Let others praise you if you want to be admired. Let others bring up your achievements. When someone else praises you, it feels more authentic than if you are constantly talking about yourself. This reinforces the idea that humility is more powerful than self-promotion. Step 5. Avoid comparison. Bragging often arises from the need to compare ourselves to others. Instead of focusing on how we measure up to others, focus on your own growth and success. Each person's journey is unique, and true fulfillment comes from honoring your own path, not trying to outdo someone else. Think about some of the most respected figures in history. Did Michael Jordan constantly boast about his talent? No, he let his performance on the basketball court speak for itself. Similarly, some of the most successful CEOs and entrepreneurs are known for their quiet confidence, preferring to let their companies and products do the talking instead of constantly self-promoting. In the entertainment industry, people like Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep are renowned for their humility and talent. They never feel the need to constantly remind others of their achievements. Instead, they focus on their craft, and the recognition follows naturally. The key takeaway from this habit is that true respect is earned through actions, not words. Bragging may provide short-term validation, but it ultimately undermines your credibility and alienates others. Quiet confidence, on the other hand, commands respect effortlessly. People admire those who are humble, who let their actions and presence speak for themselves. So, instead of seeking approval or validation through words, focus on demonstrating your worth through your actions. Let your work, your character, and your quiet confidence do the talking. The most respected people are the ones who don't need to boast, they simply show up, perform, and let the world take notice. Habit number 2. Dressing poorly or neglecting grooming. Your appearance speaks louder than words. You might think appearances shouldn't matter, after all. True value lies within, right? And you're correct in spirit. Buddhism emphasizes the purity of our inner being, not our outward appearances. However, we live in a world where first impressions deeply shape the interactions we have. The reality is clear. Your outward appearance is your first introduction to others. How you present yourself silently communicates how much you value yourself, and ultimately, how much respect others will afford you. When you dress carelessly or neglect basic grooming, you're subconsciously telling the world that you're not worth your own effort. Think about that for a moment. It's not just about looking good for others. It's about genuinely honoring your intrinsic value. Buddhist teachings remind us that caring for ourselves is an act of self-compassion. Buddha himself maintained a clean and dignified appearance, not out of vanity, but as a way to embody respect for himself and others around him. There's an ancient Zen proverb that beautifully illustrates this wisdom. How you do anything is how you do everything. Think about this carefully. If your external appearance is consistently neglected, messy, or unkempt, what does this say about other aspects of your life? People naturally assume that someone who neglects basic self-care may also neglect responsibilities, relationships, or important details elsewhere. This might not always be fair, but perception quickly turns into reality in people's minds. I once worked closely with a talented, intelligent colleague named Mark. Mark was brilliant. He had incredible analytical skills, communicated clearly, and consistently came up with innovative solutions. Yet, he never seemed to progress professionally. Despite his competence, he was frequently overlooked for promotions or significant projects. It puzzled him deeply, and eventually, we discussed it honestly over coffee. The issue became clear. Mark rarely gave any thought to his appearance. His clothes were often wrinkled or mismatched, his hair unkempt, and his overall presentation gave an unintended impression of disorganization and neglect. He believed his inner value would shine through regardless of his external state, and in an ideal world, it would have. But the reality is, his professional image was hindering his career, overshadowing his genuine talent. Mark initially resisted this feedback, arguing, "Shouldn't my skills speak for themselves? Why judge a book by its cover?" And he was right, in theory. Yet Buddhism gently teaches us that part of compassionate awareness is fully recognizing the realities of the world around us, adapting skillfully, not stubbornly. After much reflection, Mark began to shift his perspective, not because he was trying to impress others superficially, but because he recognized that taking care of his appearance was a form of mindful respect towards himself, his work, and those he interacted with daily. He began showing up differently, clean-shaven, neatly dressed, shoes polished, posture straightened. The difference was subtle but powerful. Soon, he started receiving new opportunities. People began to listen more closely when he spoke. He hadn't changed his core self. He had simply aligned his external appearance with the inner dignity he always carried. Buddhism teaches that our bodies are vehicles for spiritual practice. Taking care of your physical appearance isn't vanity. It's an expression of gratitude for the life you've been given. When you groom and dress with care, you send yourself a subconscious message: I am worthy of respect, kindness, and dignity. Imagine meeting a respected Buddhist teacher. You might notice immediately the simplicity yet dignity in their attire, posture, and grooming. This quiet dignity isn't superficial. It reflects an inner peace and mindfulness cultivated over years of practice. By taking pride in their external appearance, they subtly communicate their respect for themselves, for their students, and for the teachings they embody. In Christian wisdom, this idea resonates strongly too. The Bible offers a gentle reminder in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verses 19 to 20. Your body is a temple, Therefore honor God with your body. Here, the essence is clear. Caring for your appearance and physical health is not vanity. It's an act of reverence for the divine spark within you. When you appear in the world neatly and respectfully, you silently declare, "I value this gift of life. I respect myself, and I respect others." So how do you start changing this habit from a place of mindfulness, compassion, and genuine intention? You don't need designer labels or extravagant clothes. Begin by ensuring your clothing is clean, wrinkle-free, and appropriate for the occasion. Simplicity is powerful, and Buddhist teachings emphasize moderation. Simple, tidy, and respectful attire is all that's needed. Incorporate mindful grooming into your morning routine. Whether shaving, combing your hair, or brushing your teeth, practice these actions with full awareness. As you groom, silently express gratitude. Thank you for this body. May I treat it with respect and care. Choose your clothing mindfully. Consider how it makes you feel. Does it reflect your true self and dignity? Your clothing doesn't define you, but it can enhance your natural confidence and self-respect. How you carry yourself matters greatly. Walk tall with shoulders relaxed, breathing deeply and calmly. Posture communicates your internal emotional and spiritual state even louder than your clothes. When preparing yourself each morning, gently affirm your self-worth. Remind yourself, "I deserve respect, kindness, and dignity. I choose to embody these qualities in everything I do today." Appearances do matter, not because society demands it, but because how you present yourself profoundly influences your mindset, relationships, and life's opportunities. Dressing well and grooming thoughtfully become powerful practices of mindfulness, self-compassion, and spiritual respect. Remember, how you do anything is how you do everything. By taking care of your external self compassionately, you nurture your internal spirit too. You inspire others to respect and value you because you first respected yourself. Let your presence quietly yet confidently announce, "I honor myself, and therefore I am worthy of honor from others." Your dignity begins within, but it shines outwardly, touching everyone you meet. Habit number 3. Oversharing personal problems. Learn to carry yourself with grace. In our interconnected world, sharing personal stories has become increasingly common. Social media, workplace conversations, and even casual gatherings often invite us to open up and reveal parts of our inner world. While vulnerability can foster connection, there's a delicate line between authentic sharing and emotional oversharing. Buddhist teachings offer deep insights about why learning to handle your troubles with grace matters profoundly. Not just for your relationships, but for your own inner peace. At the heart of Buddhism lies the concept of mindful communication, commonly known as right speech. According to this principle, before speaking, one should consider, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this the right time and place to share? When we habitually overshare our struggles, especially in inappropriate contexts or with people who may not be equipped to help, we unintentionally burden others, erode respect, and compromise our own emotional integrity. Oversharing often comes from a desire for comfort, validation, or sympathy. Deep down, people who repeatedly broadcast their personal issues seek acknowledgement of their pain or confirmation that they're not alone. While these needs are deeply human and understandable, continuously relying on others to validate our struggles can become emotionally exhausting, for ourselves and for those around us. From a compassionate Buddhist perspective, we're encouraged to recognize this pattern gently and lovingly within ourselves. Awareness is the first step toward meaningful change. It allows us to respond mindfully rather than reacting out of habit or emotional impulse. I once had a colleague named Sarah, a talented and kind-hearted individual who, unfortunately, struggled with this very issue. Every conversation with Sarah quickly turned into an exhaustive recounting of her recent problems, financial issues, romantic conflicts, disagreements with family members, or frustrations at work. At first, our colleagues were sympathetic listeners, offering advice and comfort. Over time, though, we began noticing a subtle shift. Conversations with Sarah started to feel heavy and draining. People avoided casual interactions, not out of malice, but from sheer emotional fatigue. The workplace camaraderie gradually shifted toward avoidance and discomfort. Witnessing this, I felt compassion for Sarah. She clearly wasn't aware of how her actions affected others. One afternoon, I invited her for a gentle, honest conversation. Rather than criticizing, I shared the Buddhist idea of mindful speech, emphasizing the value of sharing intentionally and seeking solutions rather than repeatedly venting frustrations. Initially, she felt hurt, believing that she was simply being open and genuine. Yet, after reflecting, Sarah recognized a truth she hadn't seen clearly. Her oversharing was a manifestation of deeper insecurities and an unconscious plea for validation. Inspired by mindfulness practices, Sarah began journaling privately, meditating, and seeking structured support through therapy. She started selecting carefully whom she trusted with her deeper struggles and became mindful of how often and in what contexts she shared them. This shift transformed her relationships dramatically. Her colleagues once again felt comfortable around her, sensing that Sarah was now communicating with purpose and dignity. Both Buddhism and Christianity beautifully emphasize the power and dignity of carrying one's challenges gracefully. Buddhist teachings often refer to the lotus flower, symbolizing purity and serenity despite growing in muddy waters. Similarly, Christian scriptures remind us of the strength found in silent endurance and dignity. Jesus, during his greatest trials, carried profound inner strength, sharing only with those who could truly support or understand. His composure under pressure deeply influenced others, teaching profound spiritual truths through quiet strength rather than constant disclosure. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a beautiful parable of a wise monk. A young monk approached his teacher, visibly burdened by emotional suffering. He began listing his problems extensively. The master listened quietly, then gently replied, "My dear student, every human being carries suffering within their heart. But remember, the ocean doesn't overflow from adding a cup of water. Likewise, let your heart be vast and compassionate enough to hold your suffering with dignity and strength. When you truly need guidance, share mindfully with those who can help. Until then, carry your burdens with quiet grace." This lesson teaches us the power of resilience and self-awareness. It's not about ignoring your pain, rather, it's about understanding when and with whom to share it. It's about developing inner strength that allows you to manage your emotions maturely, becoming someone others naturally respect and admire. Here are practical, compassionate guidelines derived from Buddhist teachings to help you share your troubles appropriately and beneficially. Before speaking about a problem, pause. Ask yourself whether sharing this particular issue at this moment is genuinely helpful for both you and your listener. Share only with someone you trust deeply, who is equipped emotionally or practically to help or advise. Mindfulness means recognizing that not everyone has the emotional capacity or desire to hear all your struggles. When sharing, emphasize solutions and growth rather than dwelling excessively on pain or frustration. This approach shows strength, maturity, and emotional intelligence. Buddhism emphasizes developing inner strength through meditation and mindfulness. Regular practice helps you become emotionally balanced, less dependent on others for validation, and more capable of handling life's difficulties with grace. Keep a private journal, meditate regularly, or seek professional counseling. These structured outlets enable you to process emotions constructively rather than burdening casual acquaintances or coworkers. People respect those who gracefully carry their struggles. Historical figures like Nelson Mandela or spiritual leaders like Thich Nhat Hanh illustrate this beautifully. Both endured unimaginable difficulties yet maintained a powerful, dignified presence that inspired millions. Their quiet strength, mindfulness, and emotional balance earned universal respect, not by broadcasting their suffering, but by managing it with quiet dignity and strength. Similarly, many saints and spiritual leaders across traditions teach that the most respected individuals are not those without struggles, but those who bear them with compassion, wisdom, and dignity. Your ability to navigate life's challenges gracefully can profoundly inspire those around you. Remember, sharing vulnerabilities appropriately can deepen relationships and foster mutual respect. However, when done carelessly or excessively, it unintentionally weakens bonds, drains others emotionally, and undermines your own self-respect. Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us, your heart is like the ocean, vast, deep, and powerful. Do not fear your struggles, but carry them with grace. When you share, let your words lift others up, inspire solutions, and cultivate compassion. As you practice mindful sharing, you'll notice a powerful shift in how people perceive and respect you. They'll sense your emotional intelligence and gravitate toward your calm, resilient presence. The journey toward emotional balance isn't always easy, but it's profoundly rewarding. By learning to carry your challenges with mindfulness and grace, you'll not only elevate your relationships but cultivate lasting inner peace and dignity, a powerful combination that naturally commands the respect of everyone you meet. Habit number 4. Being overly emotional in conflicts, the power of emotional control and rationality. One of the most impactful habits that can quickly erode respect is the inability to manage emotions during conflicts. Whether in personal relationships, professional settings, or even casual interactions, when emotions take the driver's seat, the potential for rational discussion diminishes, and respect for the individual can quickly fade. Emotions, when expressed uncontrollably, can lead to irrational decisions, misunderstandings, and broken relationships. Buddhism emphasizes the importance of equanimity, the ability to remain calm and balanced regardless of external circumstances. Equanimity doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means acknowledging them and responding to them skillfully. With wisdom and compassion, the Buddha taught that by cultivating mindfulness, one can observe emotions without being controlled by them. He encouraged individuals to remain conscious of their feelings, acknowledging them but not allowing them to dominate their actions. When emotions are uncontrolled, they often lead to impulsive reactions, yelling, slamming doors, throwing blame, and making hurtful comments. These reactions are natural, yet they damage our relationships and diminish the respect others have for us. True strength, as Buddhism teaches, comes from the ability to stay composed and to act with wisdom rather than being swept away by impulse. Imagine this. You're in a meeting at work, and a colleague challenges your ideas. You feel your heart race, your face flush, and your mind starts to race with anger. Instinctively, you want to shout, "That's not what I said. You're wrong," or even worse, attack their character to defend your point. In the heat of the moment, it feels like the only option. But what happens after? Often, you're left feeling embarrassed, ashamed, or worse. Your words cause permanent damage to the relationship or your professional reputation. This pattern of overreacting to conflicts occurs when we allow our emotions to hijack our ability to think clearly. When we let anger dictate our responses, we lose the ability to see the issue from a balanced perspective. And the situation often escalates. Buddhism teaches us that we cannot control the world around us, but we have complete control over how we react to it. The essence of self-mastery is learning to be the observer of our emotions, recognizing them without allowing them to overpower our actions. Emotional intelligence, refers to the ability to identify, understand, and manage our own emotions, as well as recognize and influence the emotions of others. Research in psychology shows that people with high A are more successful in their personal and professional lives because they know how to navigate social complexities, resolve conflicts calmly, and make thoughtful decisions under pressure. This emotional regulation allows individuals to communicate with others effectively without letting their emotions hijack the conversation. When you manage your emotions, you not only avoid saying things that may hurt others, but you also show those around you that you are a person who can be trusted in difficult situations. One powerful practice in Buddhism that can help cultivate emotional intelligence is mindful breathing. When faced with a challenging situation, we can pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and center ourselves. By focusing on our breath, we create the space needed to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. I once had a colleague who had a tendency to become overly emotional during debates. One afternoon, during a project discussion, our team leader criticized his idea in front of everyone. He immediately reacted with frustration, his voice raised, his hands shaking. It was clear to everyone that his emotions were taking over, and the situation quickly turned awkward. The tension in the room escalated, and no one was able to focus on solving the issue at hand. On the other hand, I remembered a time when I was faced with a similar situation. The leader questioned my approach, and my first instinct was to become defensive. However, I took a deep breath, paused, and allowed myself to reflect before responding. I calmly acknowledged their point, re-explained my reasoning, and presented possible solutions without getting caught up in the heat of the moment. The conversation immediately became more productive, and the atmosphere relaxed. By maintaining composure, I preserved both my respect and the respect of others. A well-known Buddhist story emphasizes the importance of staying calm during times of conflict. The story involves a disciple of the Buddha who struggled with anger. One day, he expressed his frustration at someone who insulted him, feeling deeply hurt by the words. The Buddha, understanding his inner turmoil, asked him a simple question. If someone offers you a gift, and you refuse it, to whom does the gift belong? The disciple replied, "It belongs to the one who offered it." The Buddha smiled and said, "Similarly, when someone insults you and you accept it, it remains yours. If you refuse to accept the insult, it remains with the one who offered it." This simple teaching reveals a profound truth. We always have a choice. We can choose to hold on to the anger and resentment that arises in conflict. Or we can release it, refusing to let it consume us. By not accepting the gift of insult, we maintain our peace and dignity. When a situation begins to escalate emotionally, take a moment to breathe deeply and collect your thoughts. This gives you space to react thoughtfully rather than impulsively. In conflicts, it's easy to get caught up in attacking the other person's character. Instead, focus on the issue at hand and discuss the problem logically without resorting to personal attacks. A reactive response is driven by emotion and can often make things worse. A response, however, is intentional and thought out. In difficult conversations, take a moment to respond thoughtfully, considering both your emotions and the situation at hand. When addressing a problem, avoid saying, "You always do this," or "You never understand." These accusatory statements trigger defensiveness. Instead, use statements like, "I feel frustrated when." This helps create a conversation rooted in understanding, not blame. Sometimes, the best way to maintain respect during conflict is to know when to step back. If a situation becomes too heated or toxic, it is okay to say, "Let's take a break and revisit this later." Listening actively to the other person's perspective not only helps de-escalate the situation but also shows that you are open to understanding their feelings. This creates mutual respect and opens the door for productive dialogue. Christianity offers wisdom on handling conflict with dignity as well. Jesus famously taught his followers to turn the other cheek when someone strikes them. This teaching wasn't about allowing abuse or mistreatment but about maintaining control over one's response in the face of disrespect. It emphasizes emotional regulation, showing compassion even in the face of conflict, and refraining from retaliating. By remaining calm, composed, and non-reactive, we can transform conflicts into opportunities for growth and deeper understanding. Rather than losing respect, we gain it by demonstrating that our emotional stability is rooted in inner strength and wisdom. In a world that often rewards loud reactions and dramatic gestures, mastering the ability to remain calm and composed in conflict is a rare and highly respected trait. Emotional control signals that you are in command of your emotions, capable of rational thought, and confident in your ability to navigate difficulties with dignity and wisdom. The most powerful people in any room are not those who yell the loudest or make the biggest scene. They are the ones who remain calm, collected, and unwavering, regardless of external chaos. As you continue to develop your emotional intelligence and learn how to stay calm in the face of conflict, you will naturally begin to command respect. The more you practice emotional control, the more you will find that others will respect you for your self-regulation, resilience, and inner strength, not just in times of conflict, but in all aspects of your life. By embodying calmness and rationality, you not only preserve your dignity but also create a ripple effect of peace and respect that will positively influence everyone around you. Habit number 5. Giving up too easily. The power of perseverance and resilience. One of the most significant habits that can erode both respect and personal growth is the tendency to give up too easily when faced with challenges. It's not uncommon to encounter obstacles in life, whether in personal goals, professional ambitions, or relationships. Yet, the difference between those who gain respect and those who lose it often lies in how they handle adversity. People who give up at the first sign of resistance are often perceived as weak or undisciplined, while those who persist despite challenges garner admiration for their perseverance. In Buddhist teachings, perseverance or virya is one of the key factors for attaining enlightenment. The Buddha taught that progress on the path to enlightenment requires sustained effort and diligence. Virya is the quality of being resolute, of not giving up even when obstacles seem insurmountable. It's about embracing the path with determination, despite the difficulties that may arise along the way. One of the core principles in Buddhism is the middle way, which teaches moderation and patience. It's easy to think that success comes quickly or easily, but true growth, according to Buddhist wisdom, requires consistent effort over time. It's the willingness to put in the work, despite setbacks, that leads to lasting change and profound personal growth. Have you ever witnessed someone embark on a new project, only to abandon it after facing a few obstacles? Maybe it's a friend who promises to get fit but quits after 2 weeks, or a colleague who starts a new venture but gives up after their first failure. In both personal and professional spheres, these behaviors create a perception of instability, lack of resilience, and lack of commitment. When we give up too easily, we send a signal to the world that we lack the discipline or grit to follow through with our promises or ambitions. People around us, whether friends, colleagues, or family, begin to perceive us as unreliable or incapable of handling responsibility. This loss of respect often comes from the understanding that in life, success doesn't come without failure, and persistence is a key part of achieving our goals. Furthermore, giving up too easily can result in self-doubt. When we fail to push through, we internalize the belief that we're not capable of succeeding. Over time, this can undermine our self-confidence and make us question our ability to accomplish anything of value. Resilience is one of the most admired qualities in people, whether in relationships, the workplace, or any other area of life. Resilience isn't about being unaffected by failure or difficulties, but about bouncing back after setbacks. It's about learning from our mistakes, adapting to new circumstances, and continuously moving forward despite challenges. In Buddhist philosophy, samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, is often used as a metaphor for life's challenges. We are born, we face difficulties, and we die to our old selves, only to be reborn into new experiences. The key to spiritual progress is to navigate the cycle with resilience, to learn from the trials we face, and to grow through every obstacle that comes our way. This growth is a reflection of our commitment to persevere, not despite the difficulties, but because of them. Buddhism also teaches that suffering is an inevitable part of life. The question isn't how to avoid suffering, but how we respond to it. Right effort is about cultivating the strength to continue our spiritual journey even in the face of adversity. It's about having the resolve to keep moving forward when the path gets difficult, knowing that through perseverance, we can overcome any obstacle. I remember a time in my life when I was faced with a particularly challenging situation at work. I had invested months of hard work into a project, and just as it was about to be completed, everything seemed to fall apart. My supervisor doubted my abilities, and colleagues started second-guessing my approach. My first instinct was to walk away, to quit, to preserve my dignity and avoid further humiliation. It was tempting, but something inside me reminded me of the power of perseverance. I took a step back and focused on the lessons I could learn from the situation. I wasn't going to let failure define me. Instead of giving up, I gathered my strength, revised my work, and presented a better version of the project. The outcome wasn't just a successful completion of the task, but a renewed sense of self-worth and respect from my peers and supervisor. It was a pivotal moment where I realized that failure wasn't the end, but the beginning of growth. By persisting, I not only achieved my goal but also gained the respect of those around me. People respect those who don't give up easily. And through perseverance, you gain credibility and trust. A traditional Buddhist teaching presents the story of a bamboo and an oak tree. The oak, proud and sturdy, stood tall in the storm. It boasted of its strength and resilience, never bending, never yielding. The bamboo, on the other hand, swayed with the wind, bending with the storm but never breaking. After the storm passed, the oak lay fallen, its roots uprooted. The bamboo, though bent, remained standing. The moral of the story is that strength is not in rigidity, but in flexibility. The bamboo's ability to bend and adapt allowed it to survive the storm, while the oak's arrogance led to its downfall. This story teaches us that resilience isn't about resisting the challenges of life, but about adapting, learning, and continuing to move forward, no matter how strong the winds may blow. The teachings of Jesus Christ also offer profound insights into the power of perseverance. Jesus, in the face of immense suffering, endured trials and tribulations beyond what most of us can imagine. His perseverance, even when faced with rejection, betrayal, and ultimate crucifixion, demonstrated his unyielding commitment to his purpose. He did not abandon his mission, even when it became incredibly difficult. Jesus' perseverance in the face of adversity serves as a powerful reminder that true strength is found in resilience. He teaches us that perseverance is not just about physical strength but also about mental and spiritual fortitude. Just as Jesus was able to endure the cross, we too must endure our own personal struggles with strength, compassion, and the determination to rise again. The key to earning respect and building a successful life lies in the ability to persevere. Giving up may seem like an easy option in the face of adversity, But it is the resilient individuals who push through the hardest of times who gain respect, build strong relationships, and achieve their goals. By cultivating inner strength and maintaining a long-term perspective, we learn that every obstacle is an opportunity for growth. Success is not about avoiding failure, it's about how we respond to failure. It's about continuing to move forward, even when the road gets tough. The next time you encounter a setback, remember the lessons of perseverance, whether from Buddhism, Christianity, or your own personal experiences. Don't let failure define you. Instead, see it as part of your journey and keep moving forward. When you do, not only will you earn the respect of others, but you will also earn your own self-respect. Those who persist, despite difficulties, are the ones who build meaningful legacies. They inspire others to rise above adversity and demonstrate that true strength comes not from avoiding failure, but from overcoming it. So, keep going, even when it's hard. Your perseverance is the key to earning respect and achieving lasting success. Habit number 6. Using people for personal gain. The importance of genuine relationships. In our interconnected world, it's easy to fall into the trap of using people for personal gain. Whether it's seeking favors, connections, or opportunities, many of us have encountered situations where someone reaches out only when they need something. It's not just an uncomfortable experience, it undermines the foundation of trust, respect, and genuine connection. While everyone is familiar with the concept of networking, there's a fine line between building relationships based on mutual benefit and using people to further your own agenda. Crossing that line can lead to alienation, loss of respect, and ultimately, emptiness. Buddhism offers profound insights into relationships, especially in terms of right intention and selflessness. The Buddha taught that we should act with compassion and mindfulness in all our interactions. Using someone for personal gain contradicts these fundamental principles because it involves self-centeredness and a lack of genuine care for the other person's well-being. In Buddhism, relationships are viewed as an opportunity for mutual growth and enlightenment, instead of seeing others as tools to achieve personal success. We are taught to see them as fellow beings on the same journey of life. The practice of loving kindness, metta, invites us to cultivate goodwill toward all living beings, without expecting anything in return. This approach transforms relationships from transactions into meaningful exchanges based on respect, kindness, and support. When we begin using others for personal gain, we create a transactional relationship, where the connection is based solely on what we can extract from them. In contrast, when we approach relationships from a place of genuine kindness and compassion, we create bonds that are reciprocal, fulfilling, and long-lasting. The temptation to use people for personal benefit often comes from a fear of scarcity, the belief that we must take as much as we can to ensure our own success. It is easy to believe that success is a zero-sum game, where if someone else succeeds, it means less opportunity for us. However, this mindset creates an atmosphere of competition, manipulation, and ultimately, disconnection. The irony is that while we might get ahead in the short term by using others, it often leaves us feeling empty. Once you use someone for what they can offer you, the bond between you is no longer genuine. The person has become an object, not a relationship. This disconnect leads to a loss of trust, which is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. People can sense when they're being used, and even if they don't immediately express it, they'll eventually withdraw or sever ties. Consider the example of someone who frequently asks for favors, yet never reciprocates. Over time, that person becomes known as someone who can only take and never give back. Eventually, others begin to avoid them, recognizing that their relationships are based on a one-sided dynamic. This behavior breeds resentment, and the person using others ultimately becomes isolated, left with superficial relationships that don't provide the genuine connection or support they might have sought in the first place. The desire to use others often stems from a lack of self-worth or insecurity. Many people feel the need to manipulate others to gain power, influence, or validation. This behavior can be reinforced by societal pressures, such as the emphasis on success and status in modern culture. Social media, in particular, has created an environment where people constantly seek to prove their worth through external achievements and recognition. In these cases, using others becomes a defense mechanism, a way to bolster one's sense of self by collecting social proof or resources. However, this behavior only perpetuates feelings of inadequacy. People who use others often find themselves surrounded by relationships based on manipulation and exploitation, rather than true camaraderie and mutual respect. The fundamental issue is the intent behind the relationship. Are you engaging with someone because you truly value them and their qualities? Or are you seeking to extract something from them? Genuine relationships are rooted in mutual respect, trust, and shared values. When we treat others as equals, without ulterior motives, we open ourselves to authentic connections that nurture both parties. Buddhism warns against greed and selfishness, which are seen as harmful to both our own well-being and the harmony of our relationships with others. Generosity, dana, is one of the core practices of Buddhism and teaches us to give freely without expecting anything in return. This doesn't just apply to material possessions but to time, kindness, and emotional support. Generosity is about giving from the heart, without the intention of gaining something in return. When we use others for personal gain, we disregard the principle of dana, reducing our interactions to mere transactions. In contrast, when we approach relationships with generosity, offering our time, support, and kindness without expectation of return, we create a positive, life-affirming cycle that enriches both our lives and the lives of others. The teachings of Jesus Christ also reflect the importance of selflessness and generosity. Jesus often emphasized loving others as oneself, caring for the poor, and not seeking personal gain at the expense of others. One of the most powerful examples of this is the story of the Good Samaritan, where a man stops to help a stranger, offering assistance without expecting anything in return. This act of kindness illustrates the power of selflessness in building authentic relationships. The Good Samaritan didn't help the injured man for any personal gain or recognition. He helped because it was the right thing to do. This story teaches us that true respect is earned through acts of selflessness, compassion, and genuine kindness, not through manipulation or exploitation. The key to building meaningful, respected relationships lies in authenticity and mutual respect. Start by being genuine with others, Engage with them because you appreciate their presence, not because they have something you need. When you interact with someone, focus on the relationship itself, not on what they can offer you. When you listen to others with the intent of understanding, not just responding, you build deeper connections. People appreciate being heard and understood, and this creates mutual respect. Practice the art of giving without any expectation of return. This could be as simple as offering your help when someone is in need or providing support without seeking anything in return. Recognize the value that others bring to your life. Acknowledge their strengths and contributions, and show gratitude. This fosters an environment of respect and trust. Be someone others can count on, and be consistent in your actions. Authentic relationships are built on trust, and trust is built through reliability and sincerity. Relationships thrive when they're not forced or manipulated. Let others be themselves, and respect their boundaries and needs. Control is the antithesis of respect. I once had a colleague who would approach me only when they needed something, whether it was a favor, advice, or a connection. Initially, I didn't mind helping, but over time, I began to realize that our interactions were one-sided. It became clear that they only valued the relationship for what they could extract from me, rather than the connection itself. One day, after helping them once again with a task that didn't benefit me in any way, I found myself feeling drained and resentful. It hit me that this dynamic wasn't healthy. I decided to step back and focus on building relationships with people who genuinely valued me for who I am, not just what I could provide. As a result, I found myself surrounded by people who were both supportive and generous. These relationships were more fulfilling, and I felt respected, not used. It was a powerful reminder of how important it is to surround oneself with those who offer mutual respect and support. The most important lesson here is that respect isn't earned through manipulation or self-interest. It's earned through selflessness, genuine kindness, and mutual support. The more you give, the more you receive, not just in material gain but in true respect, trust, and authentic relationships. So, if you want to be respected and valued, stop using people. Start giving from a place of genuine kindness and appreciation. Build relationships based on shared values and mutual support. And in doing so, you'll create a network of authentic, long-lasting connections that bring both personal fulfillment and collective growth. Thank you for joining me on this journey of wisdom and self-discovery. If today's video resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Buddhism and Life. By subscribing, you're not just staying updated with new content, you're joining a community of like-minded individuals who are committed to living with intention, compassion, and mindfulness. As we continue to explore Buddhist teachings, remember, the path to enlightenment is not about perfection, but about progress. It's about taking small steps each day to become more aware, more loving, and more present. I would love to hear from you in the comments. What part of Buddhist wisdom are you most curious about? What do you want to learn next? Let's build a space of shared learning and growth. Together, we can make a difference. See you in the next video. Don't miss out. Subscribe now, and be part of our growing community. Your journey to a more peaceful, balanced life starts here. This approach focuses on fostering curiosity, community, and a sense of ongoing learning, which can help attract and engage viewers. It encourages action and interaction, ultimately leading to faster channel growth and increased subscriber engagement.